Every castle across Europe had this exact same fatal weakness. Every attacker knew exactly what that fatal weakness was. That flaw had killed thousands of defenders over many centuries. Crusaders then marched east and discovered something remarkable, something revealing European castles were quite badly built. Within 30 years, European castle design was transformed. This is exactly how military defeat became an engineering leap. A leap that reshaped every fortress ever built in Europe after. The year is 1050 AD, somewhere in the north of France. Typically, a castle was nothing but a wooden tower on a mound. Wealthier lords replaced that wooden tower entirely with stone. But wood or stone, the tower always had 4 square corners. And every single corner of that tower is a structural weakness. Here is why. Dig a tunnel beneath any one of those 4 corners. That corner holds up 2 full walls at exactly the same time. Fill the tunnel with combustible timber, then ignite everything. Timber burns, corner drops, and the walls crack right open. This reliable siege method had worked for 3 full centuries. European engineers knew the problem well. They had no answer. A momentous crusading wave then launched across all of Europe. Vast multitudes marched together eastward toward the Holy Land. Most of those men had never once left their own country before. The Crusader army finally arrived at the outer walls of Antioch. They froze, stared upward at those enormous walls, went silent. The outer walls of Antioch ran 12 full kilometers around. In the steepest sections, those walls rose 20 solid meters. Those walls were protected by no fewer than 400 towers. 400, the finest castle in France had exactly 4. The total tower count was not what staggered those crusaders. The shape was, each tower was built deliberately wholly round. No corners to dig beneath, no double wall collapse to trigger. Dig under a round tower all night, the curve deflects the load. Round towers absolutely have no corner for 2 walls to meet. Crusaders deliberately chose not to attack, they studied them. The siege of Antioch was extended over 8 grueling months. 8 months of failed assaults, 8 months of observation. During those months, they also noticed one more critical detail. Considerable perimeter protection extended beyond the tower. It covered the base and outer sides of the adjacent next tower. Archers in one tower could shoot along the outer wall face. An attacker attempting to ascend directly struck from the side. Was hit directly from the side, no shield could ever protect. Not a single castle in Europe had ever been designed this way. In a standard European castle, the space below the outer wall was a total dead zone. Defenders at the top could not see down. An attacker at the base of a European wall was immediately safe. Safe to dig beneath it, set fire to it, and place a ladder up. Islamic castle builders had solved this identical problem. They built stone overhangs above each gate and each tower base. Called machicolations, stone platforms with holes in the floor. Drop heavy stones or burning pitch directly down through holes. The attacker below the gate now has nowhere at all left to go. The Crusaders wrote it all down. Their engineers made drawings. Inevitably, Antioch fell through treacherous internal betrayal. Those engineers measured every single meter of the city walls. They counted towers. They traced the angle of every single slit. They examined every machicolation they found, above and below. One Crusader chronicle records each conclusion they all reached. Fulcher of Chartres wrote they had never seen such architecture. He described their discovery of genuine fortification methods. when Crusaders built their own castles in the Holy Land later. They built no square towers at all. Every single one was round. The Crusader fortress of Krak was built from those same lessons. 2 rings of walls, round towers, stone gaps at every gate. Every technique from Antioch was built directly into Krak. Krak des Chevaliers withstood every assault for over a century. Krak des Chevaliers never fell to sea in its entire history. Not because its defenders were braver or better armed than foes. Because they used methods the enemy itself had clearly proven. The same fundamental shift was now spreading back across Europe. Crusaders who made it home told local builders what they saw. Builders across Europe began replacing square towers with round. They began adding barbicans, outer gatehouses at the entrance. They added machicolations at gates and inner rings of defense. Richard built Château-Gaillard as his most celebrated fortress. Every Crusader technique ever learned was built into Gaillard. Philip II declared Gaillard far too strong to ever be captured. Philip was proved wrong. It required 2 full years of siege. Castle design all across Europe had been entirely transformed. A full century before, this had been nothing but a simple mound. This change had nothing to do with European architecture at all. It came from seeing a clearly superior system and admitting it. Extraordinary intellectual courage to admit total failure. The engineers from Antioch came home carrying something real. Something far more valuable than any relic from the Holy Land. Extraordinary architectural mastery acquired from defeat. That genuine clarity about your blind spots is actually rare. Nearly impossible without having first suffered a real failure. This same pattern runs through the full history of engineering. Overconfidence rarely yields the most significant breakthroughs. They come from whoever saw a better method operating elsewhere, and courageous to adopt it even when the idea was not their own. Their overall military record in the East shows far more losses. But they transformed military design for a full 5 centuries. Not by inventing anything, by paying very deliberate attention. Paying close attention to demonstrably superior performance. Every round tower out there consistently tells the same story. Every machicolation above an old gate still says the same thing. Not one of these features were invented by local engineers ever. They were taken from the enemy, appropriated after first losing.